YouTubers, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super discussion video. I am once again joined by Golden Scouter. Man, why don't you say hello to everyone listening?
Ah, man, you stole my introduction. So, guys, I am the Golden Scouter. No one can ever replicate that introduction. But I hope you're all doing well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I'm well. I hope everyone else who's listened to this is also doing well, and I hope everyone. I mean, has anyone else thought about this? Because I've been kind of racking my brain with it for the most part, and that is, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. How is Frieza going to react to the Goku versus Jiren fight? Because I don't even think that that's even really a spoiler right now. We all know that Goku and Jiren are going to be fighting. And in the upcoming special of Dragon Ball Super, episode 109 and 110, we're going to be seeing that epic fight between them. Now, without really going into a lot of detail, we do know that Goku is going to be pushing to his limits. We know that people are going to be watching this in shock and awe, as they have been throughout the entire Tournament of Power. And honestly, it really kind of makes me focus on what is Frieza going to be thinking about all of this madness that's going to be going on. Because let's be fair, throughout this entire tournament, Frieza's kind of been sitting in the background. He's not necessarily doing anything. I mean, he's taking out people here and there. He's playing around. He's never really showing all of his power. He is overly confident in himself in every single way that you can imagine. But when you put Jiren up against Goku, the one person that Frieza knows is stronger than him, or at least potentially could match him, considering the fact that although he believes that his new form is his true Golden Frieza form, it's not necessarily burdened by the same kind of situation that it was back in the Katsuno Up arc of Dragon Ball Super or the movie. How is Frieza going to react when he sees Goku having such a ridiculously hard time to someone like Jiren? Does Frieza believe that he is so much stronger than Goku right now that after he sees that fight, he's going to go up against Jiren and realize that he would win? Or would he start doubting his power a little bit? What are your thoughts?
I don't think that Frieza would lose his cool at all. Because back whenever we saw over at episode 95, I believe, that was the episode that Frieza returned and was eliminating those assassins. At least I think so. Beerus arrived to the scene, and Frieza is basically pretty much cool as a cucumber, unlike how he was whenever Beerus first appeared whenever he did in the ROF arc. So to me that tells me that Frieza is going to figure out any way possible to take out Jiren. Maybe sometime during that fight, Frieza might step in and say like, "Oh, Goku, I'm saving you right now," and then Goku has this moment where it's like, "No, I want to fight him fairly," and all this kind of stuff. Because, I mean, we've seen a few people in the past, like, not necessarily just Dragon Ball Super itself, but we've seen a couple of characters who have surpassed Frieza. And Frieza has never lost his cool in those situations. Like in GT, we've seen Frieza and Cell team up, and arguably a lot of people think that Cell is stronger than Frieza at that point. Another situation is whenever Frieza meets Paikuhan, or Paikon, and he gets defeated, but he isn't, like, mentally scarred or anything like that from what we've seen afterwards. He's just kind of sitting in that cell just like, ah, shit, well, I lost today, so whatever. So
I will say, though, I just want to butt in and say, yes, that's true, but those are also filler-ish situations. Every time we see Frieza react to someone stronger than him, at least in the canonized version, what Toriyama puts on screen, or at least what he dictates to be put on screen or in the manga panels, every time someone beats Frieza, he acts like a little spoiled child baby brat. And obviously, every time he comes back, he has more confidence than when we last saw him. It's just one of his biggest traits. So although that is a really good point, I do want to point out the fact that those are filler moments and not necessarily something brought to you by Toriyama himself.
yeah, definitely. But the thing is that I'm really hammering home here is just the fact that whenever Frieza met Beerus again, he wasn't shitting his pants like he was last time. So I think that Frieza might be a little bit more level-headed. Because, I mean, we've known in the past that every single time that someone gives Frieza mercy, he always stabs him in the back, or at least attempts to. But maybe Frieza in this situation, at least now, maybe he's finally learned his lesson, and he just learns to play things cool and not go all crazy. Because one of the things is, Frieza called Frost an amateur for just, I don't know, for whatever reason. Like, we're not exactly too sure, just maybe besides the fact that he was weaker. But Frieza calling Frost an amateur made Frost lash out like how Frieza has in the past, which has always come to bite him in the ass. So maybe I think in this situation, Frieza has learned a lesson, especially now that he's seen that Frost has gotten erased. And yeah, like, Frieza witnessed universes getting erased too, and he wasn't like, holy shit, like, Zeno's so scary, or anything like that, or I need to just, like, figure out a way how to wipe him out on the spot. Like, he's actually, like, planning out something, at least. At least from what we've seen, there's some plan that might be in store that Frieza is concocting. What do you think?
I want to kind of reiterate what you said there and kind of explain to people who might be a little lost on what you're saying. You're basically referring to the dialogue between Universe 7 people on the stand, and essentially really Whis is the one who acts like us on YouTube for the most part, who speculate on things that are said that are very briefly explained, and then he has these wild, really crazy accusations or predictions about what exactly is going on. We saw the same thing in the Future Trunks arc, and honestly, although that was completely wrong, it was still really fun. I'm wondering, though, whether or not they're doing the exact same thing here as they did back then, where Whis feels like and acts incredibly confident about he knows what exactly is going on and what somebody might be thinking or might have done, but he ends up being really, really off point. And whether or not that is just a kind of a jab at us as a community who try to speculate and try to figure out exactly what's going on and try to take the easiest route possible. But as we all know, Toriyama and Dragon Ball in general are just so hard to predict. I mean, the whole story is really kind of all over the place from the very moment that it starts to the very point that it ends. So I just wanted to reiterate that. I understand what you're saying here, and I completely get it. And I actually really like the idea of Frieza having learned a lot from actually basically, I guess, losing, then being brought back in a mechanical form, dying, then being brought back, dying again, and now being brought back, knowing he has a day, and trying to do the best he can after having months. I mean, it had been months or years since the Fakatsu no F portion of this particular series. He's been sitting in that cocoon again, having actually had freedom and gone in kind of guns blazing and gotten completely wiped out from Goku and Vegeta, not necessarily knowing the weaknesses of his own form, planning something if I ever get out of here, and now he's trying to put that plan into practice. I personally like that idea, and it would be interesting, and I feel like something to really be excited about, honestly, to have Frieza sit around and after watching Jiren fight Goku, and we should be noting this, as you said before, the other things that we saw were basically filler from GT and Dragon Ball Z, and even the filler we had from Dragon Ball Z where Frieza was watching Goku fight Buu. That didn't necessarily happen in the manga, and obviously didn't happen because Frieza had no idea about it when in Fakatsu no F when they told him that Goku beat Majin Buu. So we've seen that a lot in filler. We haven't necessarily seen it in the way that they displayed it or what the story is actually supposed to be up until this point. But with that being said, Frieza has never gone up against someone stronger than him that wasn't a Saiyan. So the mere fact that he believes that Goku is weaker than him at this point might be an indication that he feels like he is stronger than Beerus, and maybe might be able to be outsmarting Zeno at some point. But knowing the fact that Goku is going to be having so much of a hard time, getting so much of a power boost, trying everything in his bag of tricks to fight Jiren, and completely, potentially not necessarily winning, I think that might actually pull Frieza out of his confidence realm. And maybe he starts getting a little bit, I guess, more aggressive in his situation, where he might be willing to sit back and wait and actually study Jiren, or he might lash out and fight Jiren immediately thereafter. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like with Frieza's kind of characteristics of being kind of a man-child type of person, where if he sees this, if he feels threatened, he will try his best to squash out the problem immediately, especially if Jiren actually takes a lot of damage from Goku?
Yeah, and the thing is that what really actually stands out to me, that Frieza might feel this inferiority complex with Goku using all these techniques on Jiren that he did against him. Like, Goku using the Kaioken times 20, like, that might put Frieza over the edge and might actually give him, like, some kind of PTSD. Or especially him seeing the Genki Dama or something like that. Frieza might get PTSD and might just feel the need to step in. Whether it be against Goku or Jiren, who knows? I think that it would be a really good moment for Frieza to step in against Jiren at that point, because Frieza's just like, how dare Goku use these techniques that he used against me, like these moves that he basically had to pull out of his big bag of tricks, like his trump cards. How dare he have to use those techniques against Jiren and not against me in our sparring match over on Earth? So, who knows? Maybe Frieza might get tipped off at Goku instead of Jiren.
I like that idea a lot. Just he doesn't see the flaw, and I feel like that would be classic Frieza, but not necessarily something I'd like to see, as you argued earlier, where you were saying like maybe Frieza's actually learned his lesson. It would be weird for him to once again focus entirely on Goku and completely miss the fact that Jiren is really the main focus here, and you should be worried about him. I guess the last question I have here, considering this, we know everything that's going to be happening without going into huge spoiler territory, potentially not necessarily knowing everything, but potentially, what do you think about a final match? If it were to happen, because we have no idea. Final match, Jiren versus Frieza for Universe 6 for Universe 7 and Universe 11's fate. What are your thoughts on it? Do you feel like that would be hype for the franchise, for the community, or do you think that that would be going a little bit too far?
I actually think that that would be pretty awesome for any of the Pride Troopers to face Frieza, because Frieza is the face of evil, and the Pride Troopers are the face of justice, and Jiren is obviously more the face of justice than basically almost any of them, considering that even Toppo and Dispo look up to him. So to me, Frieza versus Jiren, that would actually be a really good matchup, not just because they're strong, but just because their ideals are so opposite. I mean, it's kind of the same reason why people want Toppo versus Frieza, because Toppo is very, very over the top, and Frieza is very, very over the top in his way. But I don't know. I can actually argue that Frieza's a better character than Toppo in a lot of ways, but they both are very much polar opposites. The Pride Troopers, Frieza, I mean, Universe 2 is the mirror universe of Universe 11, and Frieza was just like, oh my god, what's this foul odor? Whenever Ribrianne was just like shooting all those hearts all over the place. So to me, Frieza, the ultimate evil versus Toppo or Jiren, ultimate justice, that sounds like an awesome matchup just for ideals alone.
Do you believe, just the last question, I completely agree with everything that you said there, but do you believe that that would be a greater finale to this particular situation or this particular arc than potentially Goku versus Jiren again, or Gohan versus Toppo, Gohan versus Jiren, Vegeta versus Jiren, or something else? I mean, just a general blanket prediction. Do you feel like Frieza, after everything they did to throw us off with the very fact that he was actually part of the Universe 7 team, I guess be a part of this tournament, be a part of this team, and actually be the one to win it? After everything that he said, after all of the situation, after all the promises that Goku has made to him about whether or not if Frieza helps him, he would actually be allowed to come back and rule, or at least have his life back. I mean, do you feel like this is the main battle we're all kind of looking forward to, or do you feel like there's a better character to be put up against Jiren or Toppo or somebody at the very end of this tournament?
I mean, as much as I love Frieza, he is my favorite villain of Dragon Ball, but I honestly see Frieza being kind of like an opener to the finale. Like, Frieza challenges Jiren first and then gets wiped out, kind of like how like Heroes is kind of hinting at. That's at least my speculation, my theory at least of what's going to happen in the future. I mean, Frieza winning this whole thing and getting his wish, That would be really interesting narratively and could introduce pretty much a lot of different arcs in the future. So to me, Frieza winning, awesome, but Frieza making an impact is ultimately what I'm hoping for. Just Frieza coming back, please make it worth it in the end. That's all I want.
I completely agree. And I have to just kind of disagree with you. I feel like that, as I described it before, I feel like Frieza going up against Jiren or Toppo, whoever is left, like you said, the ultimate epitome of evil versus the epitome of justice in all the multiverses would be amazing. I feel like that would be something worthwhile to see, and also a really bold ending considering Frieza's history in this entire series, plus this series history of reliance on Goku to come out and save the day, plus all of the fan base really speculating about Gohan's potential relevance in this particular arc, or wanting Vegeta's potential relevance, or even Piccolo and the other Namekians and all this other stuff. I mean, it's really all out there, but this matchup, in my opinion, would be so unbelievably gratifying that I couldn't wait to see it. And I feel like the community itself would literally break down in a discussion about whether or not it's the right choice or not the right choice. But just saying thematically, it just makes so much sense. So guys, with that being said, I'm going to leave it at that. I really hope everyone goes down to the description section below and hits that link and goes subscribe to Kevin, the Golden Scouter. Like I say every single time, this guy makes some really awesome, very unique content to the Dragon Ball community, and I hope you all go down to support him. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button. That's going to notify you every single time I upload. But with that being said, guys, I hope everyone has a good day. It's been real.
Do it. Hit that bell.